Hi, this is Back to Basics with Lisa B. That's me. A few people have asked me, when are you doing your story? Although, when I'm talking to someone else, I am saying bits of my story. It was about two people talking to each other, not just one person telling their story. But I suppose it's only fair for me to give... I can't make it too gritty, and I can't say everything because I've got to protect some people. It's not fair to... say something. It's not. I've got to consider other people's feelings. So there's some things I won't be talking about. But I'll tell you the most of it. And it's also hard to get your whole life into about 30 minutes as well. But I've started to do these videos. I'm going to explain first of all, because I'm doing these videos that are unedited. I mean, I'm absolutely rubbish with technology, but I work in the NHS, and I've noticed lots of people, lots and hundreds of people. Struggling with alcoholism, and you know, it's not something the doctor can it's not something a doctor can give a pill for. And I'm nearly 11 years sober. I'll be 11 years sober on the 1st of September this year, and a doctor couldn't help me. If you're an alcoholic, you need to talk to another alcoholic. You need to join a group of alcoholics. You need to do a 12-step program. You need to have what we call a sponsor who you tell all your crap to, and they understand it, because they're also an alcoholic. Our brains are different. We overthink everything. We've got low self-esteem, all this stuff. So anyway, I'm going to just say a bit about my story and try and condense it as quick as I can. But I do talk a lot, as everybody knows, which is not what I used to be like when I was a little girl, I don't think. But I'll try and condense it down. But so here we go. I've got a day off work today, so it's the ideal opportunity to sit down and talk about it, because that's what I want to do. Get people talking about this, because it's still a taboo subject. It's still swept under the carpet. It's still shameful to have a drink problem, when it's absolutely ludicrous, because it's a disease, it's a mental illness, and the more we get it out there, the better understanding we're going to get. It's still like the olden days in some of it. It really is. Anyhow, so me. I was born into a family of... I was the fifth baby, the last baby. The last of five. My mum had 4 children altogether, and then she had a gap, and then she had me. And right from the start, I felt really lonely as a kid. Although we had a really busy house, I always felt like I was on the outside looking in, and I don't know, you just have strange feelings, and I thought everyone felt the same as me. But as I've learned over the years, I definitely think differently. But our house was very chaotic. There was a lot of stuff went on. I'm not gonna say too much about this, because I've got to protect people, and you know, our house did have alcoholism in it, and it did have drug addiction in it, which was really hard for us all to cope with. I was really small, so you see a lot of drama, a lot of chaos. My brothers and sisters witnessed it as well. It was really, really difficult. It was tough, but we had loads of love. We had loads and loads of love in our house, and I think I had so much love, because I felt like I was in a family with all these adults, and that they all showed me so much love. And you know, there was things we shouldn't have all seen, all of us. But we had this solid family, and our mum was the crux of that, because she kept the family all together. She was a really strong woman, but she had a lot to deal with, because she wasn't an alcoholic, and she wasn't a heavy drinker, and she had to deal with lots of that in her life, which was really hard. Must have been so hard for her. And I wasn't like that. The girls, we kind of got the job, got married young, and all this and that, and it wasn't till later on in life I turned out to have this dreaded illness as well. So anyway, so we saw a lot of stuff in our house, and a lot of it was hard to deal with, really hard to deal with. And I always wanted to be someone else. I wanted to be in someone else's house. I wanted to look like that one, dress like that one, talk like that one, be that one, have that one's life. I always was really unsettled, and you know, there were some things that we all felt a bit embarrassed about, and there was a lot of shame, and I carried shame all through my life, all through, and I made bad decisions. I think I can't blame everything on my childhood, and I don't, and I've got loads of nostalgia and loads of lovely feelings, but you know, some things that happen, they kind of set you up in life, and you make wrong decisions, and you feel low self-esteem about yourself, which is it's horrible. But anyhow, we had lots of drama, lots and lots and lots of drama all the time, and I never went to bed feeling settled. It was always I had a lot of anxiety, and I always wanted to be near my mum. I always needed to be with my mum. She used to say I was stuck to her with a bit of glue. I was her shadow. I worried about her, and I needed to be with her, and that's how it was. And that's how, you know, I was just always with my mum. I was kind of like an only child sometimes, because my sisters and brothers all started going to work and being grown ups, and I was just always with my mum, and that's how I loved it. And I was shy. I was so painfully shy. But that was the contrary thing, because I was so shy. Yeah, I wanted to be the lead part in the play. People that know me now, I mean, a lot of my work friends and people I've met, because I live by the coast now, a lot of people I've met now know me as chatty, outgoing, confident, but I was never that person. I dodged people because I was too embarrassed to talk. I used to go red. I couldn't think what to say. I thought the whole world was watching me. It was awful. It was so much, and I was so self-conscious of everything, and I'm not like that today, luckily. So anyway, there was a lot of trauma growing up, and then when I was 17, my eldest brother, my mum's first boy, Larry, he died from a drug overdose. And it ripped us apart. It totally ripped our family apart. We loved him so much, and it was like another trauma. My poor mum, and it was devastation. It was so much devastation. And, you know, I don't know how we all got through that, but we did. But our mum was never the same after that. It was another big trauma. And then I got married very young. So it was only, when I think back now, it was only a couple of 3 years after losing my brother, I was getting married and having a baby of my own. I've never ever really known my own mind. I've always felt mixed up. I've always felt in a muddle. I've always overthought everything. I've always made bad decisions. I never knew what I wanted. I never knew what was right for me. I never knew if I was doing it wrong. I never thought I was doing it right. But I got the mortgage. But that wasn't meant to be. I just went along with things. I go along with things I don't particularly agree that are right, and I go along with them. And I didn't have this voice, and I'm still a bit like it today, but I've got better. So I got married very young, had my little baby. Now, us alcoholics, we have what we call a hole in the soul, and we don't know what to fill it up with, so we usually fill it up with drink. I always loved a drink, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't a problem back in the day. I used to go out on a Friday night, and I always got too drunk, and as a teenager, I was the one, I say to my best mate, quick, let's nick your mum's gin or something, because we never had alcohol in our house, because my mum was a kind woman, and she didn't want it around my dad. So we never had it in our house. So I'd go around my mates and I'd go, let's get your mum's drink out. And she didn't really want to do that, and you know. And we used to experiment with martini and cider over the park and things like that. And I always had too much and be sick, but it never put me off. It never put me off, because I used to like getting out of control, because I was so aware of everything I did, and so nervous and so nervy kid. Getting out of control was good, because I didn't have all that nerves around me, but you know, I would be sick. I had no tolerance to alcohol, be proper sick, but still didn't put me off, still done it. But like I say, when I had my boys, I'm so proud of those boys. They're my world. They are my total. I'm so proud of them, and they've stood by me through thick and thin. So when I had them, that filled that hole in the soul, and that was so lovely. Although I was in a marriage that, you know, marriage wasn't right. And it wasn't, but I consider my kids' feelings here, and I don't need to go into the nitty and gritty of that, but it wasn't right. You know, I was too young, it wasn't right, but what I tend to do is I stay in things for a very long time, which I did for 16 years, when it wasn't right. And I was very restrained, it was quite controlling, and I didn't do all the things a young girl should have done. And when I finally found the strength to walk away from that marriage, 'cause that's what I do, I hang on, I think, you know, I've got to stay for this, I've got to stay for that, I can't walk away, I'm scared of walking away. And there's a codependency thing you hear about with people with alcohol problems. You could become codependent on you know, I'm so glad I've done a lot of work on myself, because you get to think, you get to the end of you think things through a lot harder, and you have a lot of work, and you don't have to be with somebody all of the time, and I'm still trying to learn that and understand that you don't have to be with somebody. Sometimes you just need to be on your own. And so I came out of that marriage, and at this point I thought, God, it's my time. I can go and do what I want now, because I couldn't go out. I'd never done things I wanted to do, and you know, I was still trying to keep the house together, and I was still trying to keep I wanted lots of children, and my ambition was to have lots of children and be happily married. That was all my only ambition, really. And I only because I made wrong relationship decisions. I ended up with only my 2 boys, which that's enough for me, because they are just, well, everyone knows what I think about my kids. But you know, the one ambition was having kids and a family. The other ambition, which is so shallow, was to be able to get dressed up. I was watching all my family going out the pub and getting ready, and I wanted to do that. But I didn't wait till I was old enough, because I was thinking, in fact, I used to have to dodge the landlady home from school, past the pub, because I'd be going back up there in the evening without me, you know, obviously going and changing my school uniform, going up there in the evening in my clothes. But I must have only been 15. I drink vodka and lemonade or whatever. But anyway, so I had these 2 little boys, and they filled that gap for ages. Then my marriage broke up, and I went totally selfish mode, off the rails. This is my time. I can do what I want. I can go up the pub all the time. I can drink when I want. I can do what I want. But I was so inconsiderate of my 2 sons, who were only teenagers at the time. But my Jack was always an old soul, and you know, I thought they was okay, and I was, you know, doing what I wanted to do. I was still working. I was still trying to run the house, and it just, you know, by now drink was becoming I didn't know, but drink was becoming a problem. But because I wasn't, you know, because I was still running the house, had a nice job, rah, rah, rah. You just, you know, this is an illness that makes you really, really selfish. And you don't think anything's as bad as it actually is. You can't see how bad it's getting. You can't. You know, that's why people need to understand we're not being rotten and horrible. We're being ill. You know, we've got no control over alcohol. We think we'll have a couple of drinks and it turns into, you know, on and on and on. So anyway, I was on my own, still trying to get through, trying to pay more, you know, trying to do all the adult stuff, and I was on my own. I didn't get any help, and I couldn't do it. So the drinking was getting worse, and then I met someone, absolutely complete toxic relationship, which I should never have started. It should have ended before it started, because it was horrendous. That was another 6 years, stayed there for. So in all this time, my Jack had gone to live with his dad. Joe's a teenager, struggled. You know, I wasn't being responsible, and I was being selfish and thinking, you know, like, oh poor me, because I didn't do what I wanted to do. I can do what I want now, and it's absolutely selfish. And I wish I could go back and change it, but I can't. And I can't live in regret. I try, you know, it's hard to think of these stuff, all these regrets, these horrible things you think you've done, when you were not that person. You've got a conscience, and this alcohol, this dreaded alcohol, is making you act in such a bizarre way that you wouldn't ordinarily act. So I was acting really out of character for years, and you know, but still didn't think I had a real problem, because I still went to work and I still looked nice and I still run my home spotless. That's a bit of OCD. But things were just awful, absolutely awful. And then I moved in with somebody, and that was just the worst decision. Now, the decisions I was making in drink were just like, if I was talking to myself, what on earth are you doing? This is wrong, don't do it. But no one can tell you. No one can tell you you've got a problem either. So after moving in with someone and giving up all my worldly goods and my home and everything else, it went, obviously, this was going to happen anyway, went absolutely horrendously wrong. So I had to kind of start from scratch, and I had literally given away my entire home and possessions, and I had nice stuff. So I had to start from scratch with the help of my best mates, my family. Some of my family I'd become estranged from, because things were just all gone wrong. My poor old mum used to come and help me out all the time. She was such a good woman, because she dealt with this for years, and then to have her youngest daughter become like it must have been so awful. It must have been so horrible for her. I can't bear the thought of my kids having to go through this. It's you know, it's awful for the family, but it's awful for the person as well. You just don't want to be doing it, but you can't see a way out. So my body-year-old mum was trying to help me. Everyone was noticing my drinking was getting bad. Then I started working for this guy, I had a really good job. I always held down my good jobs, and I worked for this guy, and he had a trauma. His son had committed suicide, so he was drinking more than he should. So he used to send me out. I worked for a really good company, and we used to do a lot of finance, and he used to send me out to get the wine from work at 11 o'clock. And because I didn't drink in the mornings at that time, unless she was on holiday, unless it was a special occasion. So he just sent me out to get this wine at 11 o'clock. And I go, no, look, it's 11 o'clock, I can't, they're going to think I'm an alcoholic. And they go, it's 11 o'clock, Lisa, but it's 12 o'clock in France, go and get the wine. So I'd be drinking at work at this point, drinking when I got home from work. Just drinking. You know, you're not thinking about you still got drinking you from the night before, and you're going to work the next day. Then you stop drinking at work. Then you go home, open a bottle of wine with the dinner, making the dinner, drink all weekend. But you still not thinking you've got any kind of problem. Acting out of character, getting into situations you don't want to be in. Everything's falling around your feet, and you still think, well, I'm okay. I'm still going to work. Rah rah rah. I'm all right. But then it's a progressive illness, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And I found another place to live, which I did. I always build myself up again, but I was really ill at this point, and I'm getting darker and darker into depression. I'm trying to build this home up again from scratch. And I don't know when and how it happened, but morning drinking came into place. Now my boss also, he used to come over on an aeroplane, he used to commute. So he used to bring all these duty-frees over for me, so... But I was quite an alcoholic snob, because I just liked my Chardonnay in a nice glass, so I wasn't that bad. You know, still looking down at people that were worse than me. And it just gets worse and worse and worse. And I started this morning drinking, and it was just like, I was getting blotto first thing in the morning. I was working from home at this point, well, trying to. Some days I was getting up, getting drunk, and just going back to bed. So it's getting to the stage now. There's a lot of things happen, and at the end is the part that is horrific. It's horrific. You're being sick, you're drinking, you're waking up. Every moment you're awake, you're thinking about drinking or drinking. Mostly drinking, and the other time, and you're going out to all these different places to buy a different drink because that person's going to think you've got a drink problem. And it's so apparent. Your appearance is deteriorating. You're saying and doing things you don't want to do. You're being sick. You can't even work out how to dress yourself. You're thinking what goes with what, so you end up putting on black because it goes together. My hair was going thin. I couldn't put, my hands were shaking. Everyone was worried about me, but I was still like, it's my life. It's my. I think I'm having a good time. I'm thinking this is my best life, but that until it gets really, really. That in the end, you're thinking, I don't want to live. I don't want to die. What am I going to do? I can't carry on like this. I've forgotten how to not drink anymore. If someone could have laid me flat on my back all day and poured a funnel of alcohol into my mouth, that would have been all right. That would have been, rather than me having to keep going over the shop and keep going to other places and pretending I'm having friends over. They don't care. They know you look like an alcoholic. You are an alcoholic. I still didn't know at this point. And I'm going to all these different shops and getting little wines and thinking I'll just have that. And oh God, I was so drunk and out of control, and I couldn't function. What am I going to do? I'm still drinking this deadly drink, and you just can't stop. No one can make you stop. No one. No matter how you look at my dear boys, they are my life, and I'm looking at them because my thing was to bring my boys up beautifully and to not let them have any worries, and I did that for a long time, and. For me, my conscience and the way I am as a mother, to let that fall by the wayside, that's not me. That's Jekyll and Hyde. That is not me. Even now, my boys are 30 in their 30s now, and I still worry about them all the time. And I would bend over backwards to make sure they're okay. So I wasn't me. It wasn't Lisa. It was the devil himself at times. But you can't see a way out. You can't. And people keep telling you, and you think, oh, what they're going on about, it's not that bad. I'll be all right. When my life gets better, I'll sort it out. I'll sort this out. But it's almost like a switch. Because once it's got you, it's got you. and you can't do nothing about it until you learn that the abstinence is the only way. But giving up drink, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I can't go to the pub, I can't go to a party, I can't go to a wedding, I can't have fun anymore. What am I going to do? Little did I know how my life's turned around. But so it got to a stage where I was just, all I did was drink. That's it. My boys were about to disown me. Mum couldn't keep coming down. My circles were getting smaller. My best friend was just helping me all the time. She just kept on helping me. If it had been reversed, I wouldn't have been the same. I'd been saying, pull your bloody self together. You know, I had a hospital admission. We had to have police around to open up my door because I was out for the count again. People thinking I was dead. It was bloody awful. Do you know what? I wouldn't wish this on anybody because I'm feeling a bit emotional now because it is so horrible. And people think you're being selfish and think you're being this and that. And it's horrible. It's so... I don't wish it on anyone. It's so hard to get out of as well. But you can do it. And I've done it for 11 years and not touched a single drop of drink where I couldn't not drink for one day. I couldn't go one evening without drinking. I couldn't go one day, 1 minute. And now I've lost this compulsion, and it's on your brain all the time. And when you haven't got a drink, I need a drink, I want a drink, I'm going to get a drink, where's my drink, and it's like it's Groundhog Day, and it's like a hamster on a wheel, and you can't see out. But I can't stress enough the wonderful life you can have without drink. You know, I used to look down on people. Why don't they want to drink? Boring. They're not there. No, the people who keep having to get pissed are boring. The people who think you can only live with alcohol are boring. I've met so many lovely people. Because to get sober, you have to converse with people in recovery, and you have to do a 12-step program. You have to speak a lot to what we call a sponsor, and this has got me through. And a higher power. We have this higher power because this is some divine intervention. Because I couldn't stop drinking. I couldn't do it. But then, you know, because I've done all these things, all this work on myself, and the compulsion's gone, the need's gone. I'm more confident. I don't need a drink to do anything. And since I've been sober, I've had some proper trauma. I mean, my dear brother, my first brother left us. Now my other brother, this was only a few years ago when I was sober. I've been sober a few years. My brother died. A lot of this was down to lifestyle. You know, he was a big, strong, lovely man. He loved me. I loved him. He loved his family. And he went from us, and that was devastation again. But I didn't need to drink on it. My marriage broke up. I met a really nice guy. I didn't realise he liked to drink. I did realise he liked to drink, but I didn't know to what extent. And he was lovely. We had a lovely, lovely relationship, and it went very bad, in a very bad way. And I didn't drink on it. I didn't need to drink on this stuff. My dear friend died, only last year. My dear, dear friend died. I've had trauma all through my sobriety, but you don't have to drink. You talk about it, you thrash it through. You have to live with the emotions and the sadness, and you have to just let it pass. You have to go through these emotions. Drink just makes it worse. Drink just escalates the feeling. You know, you have to sit with your feelings, and you work it out, you talk about it, and everything passes, and everything is as it should be. You know, I've got a lot of belief in God now, a lot of belief that my life is how it should be right now. I live in the day. I can't regret the past. I do, but I can't keep living in the past. I have to make sure that my future is going to be like this. I have to choose who I have around me. I have wonderful things that have happened since I've been sober. The people I meet, people have got this misconception of a dirty old drunk, an alkie, a druggie. We are articulate, professional, kind, all these words I don't need to go into. Creative. So I've got lovely friends, and we didn't choose to be this way. We didn't choose it. Oh, they put it in their body. We didn't choose it. Other people put it in their body, but luckily they haven't got the alcoholic gene. They can just drink and put it down again. We can't. But when you gain that abstinence, it is beautiful. It's a beautiful feeling. And I can't sell it enough. I wish I'd have given up. I thought I was too young to give up drinking. What am I going to do? What am I going to do now? I wish I'd have done it years ago, years and years ago. And people, you know, my boys' friends and people like that, they're choosing to give up drink now. They're choosing it. It's you know, it's nice. I've just come out of another relationship again because I don't do well in them. I don't do well in relationships. I need to be with someone who, you know, sorted their own stuff out. And you know, I've just had a really lovely year with somebody. But I knew right away things weren't quite right. But I still keep going with it, and I keep going with it. And I need to learn to know when I need to learn to know what's not right for Lisa, and nip it in the bud as quick as I can, because that's what I need to work on. Because I'm not like that. I stay in things for too long that I shouldn't be with, but shouldn't be in. But it's all a learning curve. I'm still learning. I'm still learning about life. And you know, going to my son's wedding and seeing both my boys there, my grandchildren, and me being stone cold sober, dancing the night away, just looking around at everyone being happy, and I didn't think I could do stuff like that. And I go out and have such a laugh with my friends, and the thought of drink it terrifies me now. I just don't want it in my life. I don't want it. I used at the beginning when I gave it up. Oh, poor me, I can't drink again. If only I could drink again, I'd give my right arm away to be able. No, I don't want it. Everyone, you know, people I see close to me that have problems with it. Everyone in my life kind of has a struggle with it. And you know, if my boys struggle with this illness, they've got me now. They've got me to help them. And you know, my life. I've moved to the coast where I find with the sea. I find this with the sea and my music. I find this serenity and this calm that I've never had. And I just can't sell this abstinence enough. And I really hope people are going to be able to get some strength from this and you know, open up and contact someone about giving up drinking. And it's horrible. It's a horrible disease. It's a horrible illness. And that's about it really. I live my life one day at a time. I need to be on my own right now. God wants me on my own right at this minute. And you've got to learn to be happy with yourself before you can be happy anywhere else. You've got to learn to live with yourself, live with your feelings, live with your emotions, combat the anxiety, and learn to say no. Learn to say no, I can't do that, I'm sorry, I can't do that, it's not right for me. Learn to be honest with yourself and with others. I struggle on a daily basis to do this, but my life has really turned around, it really has. And if I can help anybody, and if this gives anyone any comfort, I'm so pleased. And that's my story. There's probably loads I've left out, but you know, I'm just a very grateful, sober alcoholic with a good life. Thank you.